Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I almost keep saying 2025. It's going to take me a couple weeks for that. NFL wildcard, we'll talk about the result, and then we'll talk. We're not going to get into the big story out of this game until news and notes, obviously. NBA, NHL, college basketball, soccer on this day, and then the aforementioned news and notes, best bet. All right, NFL wildcard, we had one game last night. It was an interesting game for like 2.5 quarters, and then the team that was favored, the Houston Texans, pulled away with the 30-6 win over the Steelers, led by their defense, as they advanced to the division round to take on the New England Patriots, and the Pittsburgh Steelers were sent home packing, and now they're going to be looking for a new head coach, as Mike Tomlin came out with a statement saying that he's stepping down as the Steelers coach. We'll get more into that for news and notes, but that was obviously the big story to come out of the game. And now also like what happens with Aaron Rodgers and what's they're gonna believe they're playing at quarterback next year if Rodgers retires. So there's a lot of subplots to come out of this from a Steelers perspective, but that shouldn't take away the effort by the Houston defense that the display they put on. So, congrats to them. Okay, now we'll move on to the NBA. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's games. Jazz upset the Cavs 123-112. Pacers upset the Celtics 98-96. Sixers over the Raptors 115-102. Mavs over the Nets 113-105. Kings over the Lakers 124-112. And the Clippers over the Hornets 117-109 is best bet with that over hits. All right, 7:30 Suns Heat. I did not do totals today. My line is Heat 5.75, and it is Heat by 1, total 230.5. I'm going to lay the one in Miami. No Jalen Green. I don't know why that line's that low. 8 o'clock, Bulls Rockets. I have the Rockets 10.25. It's 13 and 224.5. I'll take Chicago getting 13. That's a lot of points. I know Josh Giddey's out, but still. A lot of points. T-Wolves Bucks. I have the Bucks 4.875, and it's 3 and 228.5. I'll go over because no Gobert, I think, opens things up for their D, and I know Anthony Edwards is out, so that's the case for the under, but I like the over. Nuggets Pelicans. I have Pelicans 2.25, and it's 1.5 and 233.5. I'll take New Orleans plus 1.5 and plus 104. Denver's still missing a bunch of their guys. Big one on NBC and Peacock. Spurs Thunder. Round 4. My line is the Thunder by 8.5. And that's exactly what the line is. So it's 29.5. I'll go over in that one. 10:30 Hawks Lakers. I have the Lakers 1.75, and it's Hawks by 3, total 232.5. That's because of no Reeves. I don't know. Maybe they got word that Luka and LeBron might be out. Oh, Luka is playing. Maybe LeBron's out, but I'll take the Lakers plus the 3 and plus 124 outright because Luka's on the court. And then 11 o'clock on NBC and Peacock, Trailblazers Warriors. I have Golden State 12.875. It's 10.5 to 26.5 LA. The 10.5 with Golden State. Okay, now we'll move on to hockey. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's games, which Tuesday's usually a busy slate in the NHL. Kraken over the Rangers 4-2. Panthers over Sabres 4-3. Red Wings over the Hurricanes 4-3 in OT. Lightning over the Flyers 5-1. Habs over the Canucks 6-3. Devils over the Wild 5-2. Oilers over the Blackhawks 4-1. Leafs over the Avalanche 4-3 in OT. And the Stars over the Kings 3-1. All right, 7 o'clock tonight, you have the Canucks and the Senators. The Sens are minus 30. Canucks are plus 188. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Vancouver plus 1.5 is minus 132. Sens minus 1.5 plus 108. That's a hard one But I kind of like the over at even money. Lightning Penguins. Lightning minus 140, Pens plus 116, over under 6.5. Overs minus plus 106, unders minus 130. Bolts minus 1.5 plus 172. Pens plus 1.5 minus 215. Ooh, anytime goal scorers is locked on FanDuel, which is odd. But for this one, I'm going under, alternate under 5.5 plus 126. Canadians Capitals. Caps minus 40, Canadians plus 116, over under 6.5. Overs plus 102, unders minus 124. Habs plus 1.5 is minus 10. Caps minus 1.5 plus 168. For this one, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go Capitals regulation plus 120. I know Montreal has a lot more points than the Caps, but I just have a feeling about the Caps in this game. Flames Jackets. I always call this the Johnny Gaudreau Bowl. Still is. Columbus minus 137. Flames plus 114. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 106. Unders minus 130. Flames plus 1.5 is minus 215. Jackets minus 1.5 plus 172. The Jackets fired their coach, Dean Eveson. We'll get into that in news and notes as well. So maybe it's a little new coach theory here, but I'm going to go over 6.5 at plus 106. 7:30 on TNT. Red Wings Bruins. Bruins minus 132. Red Wings plus 110. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Detroit plus 1.5 is minus 220. Bruins minus 1.5 plus 176. I'm going with Detroit at plus 110. I think that's a good underdog tonight. ESPN Plus and Hulu. Hurricanes Blues. Canes minus 182. Blues plus 150. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 108. Unders minus 132. Canes minus 1.5 plus 138. Blues plus 1.5 is minus 170. For this one, I'm going to go with the Canes in regulation at plus 110. Oilers Preds at 8. Oilers minus 128. Preds plus 106. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Oilers minus 1.5 plus 176. Preds plus 1.5 is minus 20. I'm going with over at even money. Islanders Jets. Jets minus 126. Isles plus 105. Over under 5.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Isles plus 1.5 is minus 60. Jets minus 1.5 plus 205. I am shocked at this line. I'm shocked that Winnipeg's a favorite here. Give me the Islanders plus 105. 10 o'clock, ESPN Plus and Hulu. Mammoth hosting the Maple Leafs. Mammoth minus 152. Maple Leafs plus 126. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 110. Unders minus 134. Leafs plus 1.5 is minus 192. Mammoth minus 1.5 plus 154. I'm going to go with the over at plus money. And last but not least, on TNT, Stars Ducks. Stars minus 120. Ducks even money. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 134. Unders plus 110. Stars minus 1.5 plus 198. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 250. I'm going to go with the Ducks at home at even money. That line stinks. Okay, now we'll move on to college basketball. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to the games for tonight, which there are some juicy ones. NC Central over Morgan State, 89-78. Howard over Delaware State, 84-58. Alabama State over Alcorn State, 81-66. Florida over Grambling, 91-84. Prairie View over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 73-61. Southern over Bethune, 77-73. Maryland Eastern over Norfolk State, 74-70. SC State over Coppin State, 74-72. Lamar over Houston Christian, 64-56. American over Navy, 65-51. Stephen F. Austin over Incarnate, 56-46. New Orleans over Southeast Louisiana, 79-76. Northwestern State over Texas Rio Grande, 64-63. McNeese over Nichols, 94-68. Texas A&M Corpus Christi over East Texas A&M, 61-50. Texas Southern over Miss Valley State, 84-51. And Alabama over Jackson State, 100-91. All right, 6:30, Fox Sports 1, Villanova Providence. My line is Villanova by 3/10. And it is 1.5 and 157.5. I'm going to go under, but I don't feel great about it. On Peacock, Marquette St. John's from the Garden. My line is St. John's 12.3 at 16.5, 155.5. I'll take Marquette to cover. Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan. I have Eastern 7.3. It's 8.5, 141.5. I'll take the over. Kent State, Buffalo. My line is Buffalo, 0.3. It is Kent State 1.5, total 164.5. I'm going to go with... This is a rare one. I'm going to go Buffalo on the money line at plus 105. On Peacock, Indiana, number 12, Michigan State. I have Michigan State 8.3. And it is 6.5 and 144.5. I'm going to take the over. Number 16, Virginia. Number 20, Louisville on ESPN 2. My line is Louisville 2.8. It's 4.5 and 153.5. I'll take the over. Boston College, number 22, Clemson on the ACC Network. I have Clemson 13.8. And it is 15.5 and 134.5. I'm going to go with another over. SEC Network, Texas A&M at number 24, Tennessee. I have Tennessee 2.2. And it is 9.5 and 161.5. That is way too high. Give me the Aggies plus 9.5. UIC, Northern Iowa. I have Northern Iowa by 9. And it's 6.5 and 128.5. I'm going to lay 6.5 in Northern Iowa. CBS Sports Network, George Mason and Loyola Chicago. I have Loyola Chicago 8.2 underdogs. And George Mason is 10.5 and 137. I'll take Loyola to cover 10.5. That's a big number. Dayton, Duquesne. I have Duquesne 6.3 underdog. And Dayton's giving 2.5. Totals 151.5. Or 152.5, my bad. I'm going to lay 2.5 with Dayton. Big Ten Network, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I have Wisconsin as a 3-point favorite. And it is 1.5 and 146.5. I'll go over. ESPNU, Miami, Notre Dame. I have Miami 0.7. It's 5.5 and 143.5. I'll take Notre Dame to cover. UMass, Western Michigan. I have UMass 0.3. And it's 4.5 and 157.5. I'll take Western to cover. Ohio, Toledo. I have Toledo 0.2. And it's 2.5 and 160.5. I'll take Ohio plus 2.5 points. Central Michigan and Miami of Ohio. My line is Miami of Ohio 20.3. Undefeated Miami of Ohio, by the way, still. 14.5 and 156.5. I'll lay it with Miami of Ohio. Ball State, Akron. I have Akron 14.2. And it is 20.5 and 153.5. I'll take Ball State to cover. That's big. 7:30, Valpo, Belmont. I have Belmont 13. It's 10.5, 148.5. I'll lay it with Belmont. On True TV, number 3, UConn. Number 25, Seton Hall. I have UConn by 5. And UConn is giving 6.5. Totals 132.5. I'll take the over. Bradley, Evansville. I have Bradley 8.3. It's 7.5 and 143.5. I'll take the over. Fox Sports 1, 8:30. West Virginia, number 7, Houston. I have Houston 13.3. And it's 13.5 and 127.5. I'll go over. Western Illinois, Eastern Illinois. I have Eastern 10.8. And it's 6.5 and 129.5. I'll lay it with Eastern. 9 o'clock, ESPN, number 2, Iowa State and Kansas. My line is Iowa State by 2 as a road favorite. And they're giving 3.5. Totals 151.5. I'll take Kansas plus 3.5 to cover. Surprising to see Bill Self as a home dog. Big Ten Network, Oregon number 8, Nebraska. I have Nebraska by 3. It's probably higher than that. Yeah, 10.5, 145. And I'll take Oregon to cover. I just don't think they're as bad as 8 and 8, but maybe they are. Who knows? SEC number 18, Alabama, Mississippi State. I have Mississippi State 1.3. And it is Alabama 4.5, total 174.5. I'll take Miss State plus 4.5 and plus 172 outright. I think that's a whack line. ESPN 2, number 19, Florida and Oklahoma. I have Florida 4.5. And it's 6.5, 157.5. I'll take the Sooners to cover. Colorado State, Fresno State. I have Colorado State 2.8. And it is 4.5 and 140.5. I'm going to go over. Baylor, Oklahoma State on CBS Sports Network. I have Oklahoma State 3.7. And it's Baylor 1 after 165.5. I'll take the Cowboys plus 1.5 and plus 105 to win the game outright. Grand Canyon, New Mexico. I have New Mexico 5.8. It's 6.5, 143.5. I'll go over. Georgetown, Creighton on Peacock. My line is Creighton 6.5. And it's 8.5, 147. I'll take Georgetown to cover. ACC Network, Florida State, Syracuse. I have Syracuse 12.2. It's 6.5, 159.5. LA with Syracuse. That is way too low. I don't think Florida State's that good. 10 o'clock Air Force, San Jose State. I have San Jose State by 6. And it's 6.5, 132.5. I'll go over. 10:30 Fox Sports on Maryland, USC. I have SC by 9. And it is 9.5, 149.5. I'll go over. 11 o'clock ESPN 2, St. Mary's, San Francisco. I have St. Mary's 1.8. And it's 6.5 and 149.5. I'll take San Francisco plus the 6.5 to cover. And last but not least, CBS Sports Network, Boise State, UNLV. I have UNLV 6.3. And it is Boise State 2.5, total 148.5. I'll take UNLV plus 2.5 and plus 120 to win the game straight up. Okay, now move on to soccer. We'll go over the results from yesterday and today and look ahead to tomorrow. So Monday, FA Cup, Liverpool over Barnsley 4-1. La Liga, Celta Vigo over Sevilla 1-0. Serie A, Genoa over Cagliari 3-0. Juventus over Cremonese 5-0. Copa de France, Paris FC over Saint-Germain 1-0. The Pro League, Al Hazim over Al Najba 3-2. Al Khalij over Al Ettifaq 2-1. And Al Hilal over Al Nasser 3-1. And then today, Carabao Cup first leg, Man City over Newcastle 2-0. Spanish Copa del Rey, Athletic Club over Cultural Leonesa 4-3. In additional extra time, Atletico Madrid over Deportivo La Coruna 1-0. And Real Sociedad Osasuna 2-2 draw. Penalties. Real Sociedad advances 4-3. Bundesliga, VfB Stuttgart over Eintracht Frankfurt 3-2. Borussia over Werder Bremen 3-0. Hamburg SV Bayer Leverkusen got postponed. And then Mainz over FC Heidenheim 2-1. Coppa Italia, Torino over AS Roma 3-2. Coupe de France, Marseille over Bayeux 9-0. Pro League, Al Akdod over Al Khaloud 1-0. Al Fateh over Al Raida 3-1. And Damac Al Idiad 1-1 draw. All right, Liga MX tonight, 6 o'clock. Puebla and Mazatlan FC. Puebla minus 145, Mazatlan plus 360, draw plus 280. Game kind of got underway. The over-under's locked, unfortunately. Oh, they just came back. Quickly, under 2.5 goals, minus 115. 8 o'clock, Necaxa, Monterrey. Each team's plus 160, draw plus 240. I'm taking the draw plus 240. Pachuca, Leon. Pachuca minus 140, Leon plus 340, draw plus 270. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals plus 106. And 10 o'clock, FC Juarez and Guadalajara. Guadalajara is minus 140, Juarez plus 380, draw plus 250. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals at plus 114. Okay, and then tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Chelsea Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. I'm just going to pull that up real quick. Chelsea plus 20, Arsenal plus 120, draw plus 230. I'm going with Arsenal plus 120. Spanish Copa del Rey, 3 o'clock, Alaves and Real Valenciano. Alaves plus 145, Valenciano plus 210, draw plus 195. I'm going with Alaves plus 145. Albacete and Real Madrid. Madrid minus 550, Albacete 9-1, the draw 6-1. We're going to go over 3.5 goals plus 106. Real Betis LK. Betis minus 190. LK plus 470. Draws 3-1. I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals at plus 104. Bundesliga. 12:30. Wolfsburg St. Pauli. Wolfsburg minus 110. St. Pauli 3-1. The draws plus 250. Going with Wolfsburg minus 110. 2:30. FC Cologne and Bayern Munich. Munich minus 475. Cologne 9-1. The draw 6-1. I'm going to go with under 3.5 goals at plus 114. RP Leipzig and SC Freiburg. RP Leipzig minus 135. Freiburg plus 350. Draw plus 290. I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals at plus 140. And Hoffenheim Magdeburg. Hoffenheim minus 115. Magdeburg plus 280. Draw plus 280. I'm going with Hoffenheim at minus 115. Africa Cup of Nations at noon. Senegal, Egypt. Senegal plus 105. Egypt plus 330. Draw plus 190. I'm going Senegal plus 105. And Nigeria, Morocco. Nigeria plus 70. Morocco plus 120. Draw 2-1. I'm going with Morocco at plus 120. Serie A, 12:30. Napoli, Parma. Napoli minus 340. Parma 9-1. The draws plus 420. I'm going to go with over 2.5 goals at minus 112. And 2:45. Inter and Lecce. Inter minus 750. Lecce 17-1. The draws plus 750. I'm going with over 3.5 goals at plus 138. The Pro League, 9:45. Al Qadish and Al Faya. I'm going over 2.5 there. Al Ahly and Al Toon 12:30. We'll go over 2.5 there as well. And Al Shabab and Neom SC. We're going to go with Neom SC at plus 140. And then Liga MX, we will do on tomorrow's podcast for the Liga MX for tomorrow. We'll pick those games on tomorrow's podcast. Okay, now we'll move on to On This Day. There's a lot of content for On This Day today. And obviously, next year's On This Day, we're going to be talking about Mike Tomlin. Alright, so on this day, January 13th, 2020, LSU wins college football playoff. That was Joe Burrow. That really awesome team. And they beat Clemson and Trevor Lawrence. 2021, the Nets acquired James Harden. That was a flop trade. 2020, Astros fired A.J. Hinch over sign stealing scandal. Yeah, that was a big deal at the time. 2018, Astros acquired Garrett Cole in a trade with the Pirates. 2025, so last year, Mike McCarthy not returning. 2024, Cam Ward transfers to Miami after he was with Washington State. 2015, Jets hire Todd Bowles. 2016, Browns hire Hugh Jackson. Oh my God, he was a joke. And so was this guy. 2016, the Giants hire Ben McAdoo. 2013, the Falcons defeat the Seahawks in the divisional rounds. That was rookie Russell Wilson and prime Matt Ryan. 2018, Eagles defeat the Falcons in the divisional round. So that was the year they won the Super Bowl. And then they beat Matt Ryan in Atlanta in their home building. In 2017, here's another bomb. The Chargers hire Anthony Lynn. 2017, Cal hires Justin Wilcox. Wilcox did a good job there, but he's not there anymore. 2015, Mo Williams scores 52 points for the Timberwolves. Vague memory of that. 2014, Titans hire Ken Wisenhunt, another bad coach. 2019, Saints defeat Eagles in the divisional round. I really don't remember that. That was Kamara and Drew Brees, Michael Thomas. I think that was the same year as the phantom call, or the no call, the pass interference. That was the round before that. And I guess the game was in New Orleans. I don't really remember it. But I remember what happened next against the Rams. 2021, the Broncos hired George Payton as GM. 2022, the Texans fired David Culley. Oh my God, that was another joke of a coach. 2018, the Patriots defeat the Chargers in the divisional rounds. That was Brady against Rivers. And did they win? They lost to the Eagles that year in the Super Bowl. 2024 snow postpones Bill Steelers to Monday. I remember that. That was 2 years ago. And Mason Rudolph was the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh. And that was the 2-7 game that year. 2020, Washington State hires Nick Rolovich. 2015, the Jets hire Mike McCagnon as GM. Gulp. 2013, Patriots defeat Texans in the divisional round, so they beat Matt Schaub and the Texans. In 2024, the Chiefs beat Dolphins in the wildcard round. So that was the Tyreek Hill back in KC freezing cold game, and that a lot of people bet the Dolphins in, including the Ringers' John Jastrzemski, who's a known Dolphins fan, as we know. All right, so there you have it for On This Day. Now we'll do news and notes. We have to talk about it first. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin are no longer a marriage as Mike Tomlin steps down as coach of the Steelers. I do think that all good things come to an end, and this is a certain scenario that Tomlin had a great run in Pittsburgh. I know it ended ugly last night, but he'll go down as one of the best coaches of this generation, him and John Harbaugh, who was fired last week. But now the question is what's next for Tomlin. There's some early speculation that he's likely taking a break. Maybe he'll go to media, and we'll see which media place hires him. And maybe he'll do media for a year and get back into coaching next year. But then again, we don't know what jobs are going to be open next year. That's the thing with Tomlin. Like, Buffalo could still become open this year. Green Bay might be open next year. We know the Jets and the Bengals are probably going to be open next year. Buccaneers are going to be open next year. Maybe the Panthers are open next year if they take a step back. But there are good jobs out there right now. You have the Giants. You have, ironically enough, the Ravens. And Atlanta's a pretty decentish job, but I feel like people in the media are overrating that job a little bit because of the AFC South, and you can be good right away because of that division. But the Giant job is head and shoulders better than the Falcons job. Like, I don't think it's close. Like, you're picking, like, the New York Football Giants are a premier franchise in all of sports with great history. The Falcons really don't have anything to write home about other than a Super Bowl that they blew a 28-3 lead in. So we'll see what happens with Tomlin. And now candidates for Pittsburgh. Like, could John Harbaugh be a play in Pittsburgh? That would be ironic. Kevin Stefanski. Maybe Mike McDaniel. But we'll see where they go from here. And that is a good job. I mean, is it a better job than the Giants' job right now? Probably not. Only because Pittsburgh doesn't have a long-term quarterback. But they do have the roster. And they are probably a quarterback away from taking that next step. I know their defense wasn't as good as it's been in years past too. They need to improve that side of the ball, but Pittsburgh's I think the second best job behind the Giant job. And you could argue, I'd say third. Ravens is a better job. Ravens is probably a better job than the Giants, so I'd say Ravens, Giants, Steelers are the best three jobs, and then I guess Atlanta 4. I don't know why people are acting like the Browns and the Dolphins are such great jobs. They're not. But yeah, we'll see where Tomlin goes. At gunpoint, I think he's going to be in media, and I think John Harbaugh ends up with the Giants, but I could be wrong about that. And then Kevin Stefanski maybe goes to the Ravens or the Steelers, which would be really funny. And then Le'Veon Bell stuck up for Mike Tomlin. And he was blunt after asked about message to fans after another playoff loss. And then Aaron Rodgers rips the Tomlin rumors as he storms off after addressing absolute joke hot seat buzz, which he stepped down. He wasn't fired. And then Rodgers doesn't plan on making any emotional decisions after the loss. And then the Ravens owner, Steve Biscotti, had a press conference, and he reacted to the Tomlin stuff live. And then Biscotti was blunt when asked if Tyler Loop's field goal would have saved John Harbaugh's job. So that's crazy. And then Tomlin could be traded, as the Steelers will retain his rights if he decides to coach down the road. So this is like a Sean Payton situation from a couple years ago. He left the Saints. He stepped down from the Saints, did media for a year. He was on Fox. And then he ended up becoming the coach of the Broncos. And the Titans are actually interviewing Brian Daboll. And he actually pitches Harbaugh on the Giants as he joins in Eli Manning in selling the Giants target on Jackson Dart. And then supposedly Harbaugh met with Chris Mara, who's the son of John Mara, on Sunday. So that's crazy. That's a good sign for the Giants. But the Eagles made a big change. They fired offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo, 5th offensive coordinator in 5 years, which is crazy. Obviously the two, like Kellen Moore and Shane Steichen, were good, and this guy and Brian Johnson stunk. And I think Brian Daboll is an interesting candidate for the Philly offensive coordinator job. Just to stick it to the Giants, it'd just be funny if they hired him. And who would have had Zach Taylor as the last coach standing in the AFC North? I think a lot of people thought he was most likely to be fired. Oh, I felt that way about Stefanski more so. And Sam Levitt officially signs with LSU after it was rumored that he was checking somebody else out. A big trade happened in baseball. The Diamondbacks acquired Nolan Arenado from the Cardinals. That is an interesting trade for Arizona, a team that's trying to be a contender in that division. And then Arizona gets righty Jack Martinez in the deal. So they don't give up much to get him, Arizona. I think that he could be rejuvenated there. Good left side of the infield with him and Geraldo Perdomo. And then you have Ketel Marte at second. First base is kind of a mishmash. Pavin Smith didn't work out, really. And they have a good center fielder and a right fielder. They have options at DH. And they have a good catcher in Gabriel Monero. So Arizona's a pretty good team. That could be a wild card in the National League for sure. And then the Mets offered Kyle Tucker $50 million a year, short-term deal on the table. We'll see about that. Red Sox GM Craig Breslow says that it's disappointing to lose Alex Bregman. I think it is too. The Royals are moving fences in as they are hoping to make Kauffman Stadium more neutral for home runs. And in Baltimore did the opposite a couple years ago. It's not easy to hit home runs going to left field in Baltimore like it used to be. Ohio State lands 2 Bama defenders, defensive lineman James Smith and linebacker Quav Rousseau. Jude rips Alonso reports, "What a load of shit." Bellingham responds to rumors he was against his ex-coach. And there's a chance that Patullo may remain with the Eagles in a different role. And the Chargers make some coaching changes. Offensive coordinator Greg Roman fired, as well as offensive line coach Mike Delvin, with all those injuries on that line. And then Roman makes sense as well. We'll see. That's a Daboll destination as well. Cowboys are interviewing Jonathan Gannon for their defensive coordinator position, which I like. And then Mike McDaniels to meet with the Lions for their offensive coordinator position. And then Kevin Stefanski interviewed with the Dolphins today for their job. Matt LaFleur humbled by Aaron Rodgers as he said he was speechless after Rodgers' defense of him in Steelers presser. And then Art Rooney obviously came out with the statements, and then Tomlin had a statement. How about this? Fred Warner can practice as the Niners hope that he can return by the NFC title game after return window opened. Nico Collins had a concussion and got ruled out for the game, and there's a chance he may not play against New England. Back to Arenado for a second. The Cards are reportedly paying $31 million of his $42 million salary, which is crazy. They are dying to get rid of him. The Raptor fans were erupting for Kyle Lowry. They were chanting, "We want Kyle," when the Sixers were up big. The Buffalo Sabres will be hosting the draft in June. That's a big deal, and that's a team that's up and coming in the East. And then Lowry had a standing O from the Raptors fans. Jaylen Brown fined $35,000 for criticizing the refs after the loss to the Spurs. We talked about it earlier in the hockey session. The Blue Jackets fired Dean Evason. Less than 2 years. That's a dysfunctional organization, the Blue Jackets. I'm sorry. I know they went through a lot last year with the passing of Johnny Gaudreau and everything, and I think that affected them last season, and it was a rallying cry, and they almost made the playoffs. But this organization's a very dysfunctional mess. And we'll see who they bring in the hire. The Yankees are meeting with Oz Ocampo for head of international scouting job. So they're trying to replace that position. And speaking of the Yankees, they offered 5 for $155 for Cody Bellinger, but Bellinger's looking for a 7-year deal. The Giants are on Nico Horner, and they're engaged with the Cards on Brendan Donovan. It was reported that Anthony Davis likely out for months and was expected to undergo hand surgery. And then Anthony Davis called out lies as he was a response to reports saying that he needs surgery. He goes, "Y'all better stop listening to all these lies on these apps." Wow. So somebody must have had misinformation for Shams. There was this a wild Steelers Monday Night Football streak, 35 years in the making. As that was the first time Mike Tomlin lost on Monday Night Football at home, which is crazy. They still have the streak going from the regular season go. And there was a Petty Joe Mazzulla interview as he answered every question with the same response. That's funny. James Harden, now 9th on the all-time scoring list, is he passed Shaq. The Warriors are eager to move Jonathan Kuminga as Golden State can't wait to get him out of the building. I've said that. I feel like I say this on every fucking podcast. The Warriors hate Jonathan Kuminga. They think he's an overrated player, which I do too. And they gave him the money just so they're trying to rebuild his value. But the Warriors, not for nothing, they're hurting his value by saying all this shit about him. And like all these other teams are believing. Like, you know he's going to end up on Sacramento. John Morant talks on the rumors. Not Ja himself, the coach. Tuomas Asala won't speak on random internet reports, which is funny. And the Grizzlies would take bad contracts with potential returns for John Morant. That's according to Yahoo. And then Luka and Dennis Schroeder have history, as Shams reports that they have beef dates back to the Olympics. And an AD trade is still on the table as he could return for the playoffs if renewed talks lead him to a contender. That's according to Shams. But that report came out before Anthony Davis made that statement about the lies. Okay, so there you have it for news and notes. Best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. I'm going to college basketball for mine. There's a couple I like a lot. And the one I am going to pick is the I do like Syracuse minus 4.5. I like Miss State plus 4.5. But there was one that I said, wow. And I can't find it. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Texas A&M 9.5 against Tennessee. I think that is way too high. And I think A&M is actually live to win the game outright. They are 4-1 to win the game straight up. But best bet, A&M plus 9.5 against Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee wins by double digits. So there you have it for the show. And I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything and looking at everything tomorrow as well. And then we'll do the Liga picks for tomorrow night on tomorrow's show as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.